Think about it. Civilizations have risen and fallen, not on kindness, but on cunning. Empires weren't built on comfort, but on conquest. And the philosophers who saw it most clearly didn't write to make you feel good. They wrote to prepare you for war, for loss, for life at its most brutal. These are not safe quotes. They are dangerous fragments of truth. Words so sharp, they cut through illusions, through excuses, through the fragile stories we tell ourselves. Let's begin. Quote 1. Nietzsche. Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process, he does not become a monster. Nietzsche was not warning you to be kind. He was warning you to be awake. When you battle corruption, cruelty, or manipulation, there's a danger you don't notice. Every day you fight it, you absorb a piece of it. Hatred rewires you. Rage carves you into its image. Think about modern life. The coworker who obsesses over office politics soon becomes the very manipulator they once hated. The activist who spends years fighting injustice often grows bitter, aggressive, unrecognizable. Nietzsche's point is brutal. You can lose yourself while you're busy winning. To fight monsters, you must have discipline not to become one. Power without boundaries turns you into the very enemy you swore to destroy. And here's the darker twist. Sometimes you must touch the darkness to survive. Sometimes, to fight monsters, you have to learn their tactics. The challenge is using the weapon without letting it own you. And if you think that's unsettling, Machiavelli takes it even further. Quote 2. Machiavelli. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Machiavelli didn't mean cruelty for cruelty's sake. He meant predictability. Love is fragile. It shifts, it fades, it depends on constant performance. Fear, however, is stable. Fear pins people down. Fear ensures they hesitate before crossing you. In the workplace, the nice boss gets ignored. Deadlines slip, standards drop. But the boss who commands respect through presence, who people would rather not disappoint, creates results. In relationships, too much need for love breeds weakness. But the partner who can walk away calmly commands gravity. This isn't about sadism. It's about leverage. Machiavelli is reminding you, power is not won by being liked. It's won by being untouchable. Better to have people step carefully around you than to depend on their fleeting affection. And here's the chilling part. Those who try too hard to be loved often end up neither loved nor respected. They collapse. Machiavelli would say, position yourself so love is optional, but respect is automatic. But what if life itself isn't designed to make you happy at all? That's where Schopenhauer enters. Quote 3. Schopenhauer. Life swings like a pendulum backward and forward between pain and boredom. No illusions here. Schopenhauer saw existence as suffering, not because he was pessimistic, but because he stripped away denial. Think about it. When you're striving, you suffer from desire and struggle. When you finally get what you want, the thrill fades, and you suffer from emptiness. Pain, boredom, desire, decay. Back and forth, endlessly. It sounds bleak, until you realize what he's offering. Clarity. If you know life is suffering, you stop expecting comfort to last. You stop waiting for perfect happiness. Instead, you build resilience. You find meaning in endurance. You sharpen your mind and body not to escape the pendulum, but to ride it without breaking. Modern parallel? Look at social media. Endless scrolling is boredom. The craving for likes, validation, and dopamine hits, that's pain. Back and forth, day after day. Schopenhauer saw it before the algorithm ever existed. His truth is brutal. Stop expecting permanent relief. Instead, master yourself in the storm. And yet, the Stoics believed there's a way to stand above even suffering itself. Quote 4. Marcus Aurelius. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. The Roman emperor didn't waste words. He knew death was close, always. And instead of fearing it, he used it as discipline. When you know you could die today, you stop wasting time on petty conflicts. You stop over-explaining. You cut away the noise. In our world, people act as though life is endless. They procrastinate, they avoid, they indulge in distractions. Marcus Aurelius would call that a crime against yourself. You're gambling with time you don't own. Think about the impact of this mindset in daily life. You walk into a meeting differently if you know it could be your last. You talk to your family differently. You hesitate less, act cleaner, cut sharper. The Stoic lesson is not to fear death, but to let it sculpt your life into urgency. Use mortality as a blade to cut away the trivial. But if Marcus gave discipline, Hobbes gave a darker truth about what we are without rules. Quote 5. Hobbes. The life of man is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short. Thomas Hobbes didn't sugarcoat. He believed human nature, stripped of laws and systems, collapses into war. Not metaphorical war, literal survival. A war of all against all. Why? Because at the core, people want more than they need. More land, more power, more security. And when two people want the same thing, conflict is inevitable. Remove structure and chaos takes over. You can see it today in moments of breakdown. Natural disasters, riots, collapses of authority. Civilization is a thin layer of order stretched over primal competition. And when it rips, Hobbes' words come alive. His lesson? Don't mistake politeness for peace. Human beings are dangerous animals trained by society to sit still. But deep down, the hunger never dies. And the moment the rules fall, you'll see it. That's the dark truth. Your safety depends less on trust and more on control. And from here, the quotes only get darker. Quote 6. Dostoevsky. Nothing is easier than to denounce the evildoer. Nothing is more difficult than to understand him. Dostoevsky lived through prisons, revolutions, and exile. He knew human evil wasn't simple. It's easy to point at villains, to condemn, to feel righteous. But true strength comes from understanding why people do what they do. Because that's where control lies. Think of today's world. Online outrage is everywhere. Denounce, cancel, destroy. But does it change anything? Because outrage doesn't teach you how the game is really played. To understand an enemy, You have to step into their logic. You don't need to agree with it. You need to see it clearly. That's intelligence. That's power. When you understand why someone manipulates, betrays, or dominates, you're no longer their victim. You see their moves before they make them. Dostoevsky's truth is chilling. Judgment makes you feel strong, but understanding makes you untouchable. And if you think that's dark, wait until you hear what Nietzsche said about freedom. Quote 7. Nietzsche. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. Nietzsche knew the crowd kills greatness. The tribe rewards safety, obedience, sameness. Stand out too much, and the collective hunts you down. That's why true freedom has always been rare, because it requires fighting the comfort of belonging. Look around today. Social media celebrates conformity. One wrong word, one unpopular idea, and the mob descends. Careers end. Reputations collapse. Nietzsche predicted it. The tribe loves mediocrity. The individual must bleed to protect their uniqueness. This isn't motivation for rebels who want to look cool. This is survival advice for thinkers, leaders, creators. If you refuse to bend, you will feel pressure. You will be attacked. But Nietzsche's warning is also an invitation. The only way to live as yourself is to endure the tribe's fire without letting it consume you. True independence is lonely, but loneliness is the price of real freedom. And if Nietzsche saw the crowd as a threat, Sartre saw existence itself as the battlefield. Quote 8. Sartre. Man is condemned to be free. At first, it sounds inspiring. Freedom. But Sartre meant something heavier. To be free means you can't escape responsibility. Every choice you make builds your destiny. Every excuse you cling to is a lie. Think about this. You can't hide behind parents, society, or luck. Sartre says you are condemned to choose, condemned to shape yourself, whether you like it or not. Freedom isn't light. It's a crushing weight. In modern life, people avoid this truth by blaming everything else: the system, the boss, their past. But Sartre's philosophy slaps that away. You are free, which means you are guilty for what you become. The danger of this idea is clear. Once you accept it, there's no hiding. But there's also no limit. Freedom becomes both your curse and your ultimate weapon. And if freedom is a curse, Camus argued that life itself is even more absurd. Quote 9. Camus. There is but one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. Albert Camus wasn't glorifying death. He was confronting absurdity. If life has no ultimate meaning, why keep living? That's the abyss he stares into. His answer? Defiance. To live anyway. To create meaning, even in a meaningless universe. Look at today. Depression, disillusion, the endless grind. Many silently ask Camus' question every morning. Why go on? His philosophy is brutal because it doesn't hand you comfort. It hands you a challenge. Live without guarantees. Build your own fire in the dark. That's why Camus called life the absurd. Because once you realize the universe owes you nothing, every day becomes rebellion. You wake up, face the void, and choose to continue. That's not weakness. That's the strongest act a human can commit. And if Camus faced the void, Nietzsche, for the final time, gave us the darkest truth of all. Quote 10. Nietzsche. God is dead, God remains dead, and we have killed him. Most people flinch at this line. They want to explain it away, soften it, pretend it was just metaphor. But Nietzsche meant it exactly as it sounds. The foundation of human meaning, ripped out. The highest authority, erased. The story we told ourselves to make sense of existence, broken by our own hands. This isn't just philosophy, it's a funeral, and the corpse is certainty. When Nietzsche wrote this, he wasn't celebrating. He was terrified. Because he knew what happens when the anchor is cut. Chaos rushes in. If there is no higher law, then everything becomes permitted. Morality becomes opinion. Truth becomes power. And most people are too weak to survive that storm. That's why people reject this quote. It doesn't comfort. It corners you. It tells you, there is no safety net. If the gods are gone, then you stand alone on the stage of existence, naked, exposed, responsible for everything. But here's the twist. Accepting this doesn't mean abandoning faith. It means abandoning dependency. Whether you believe in God or not, you cannot wait for life to hand you purpose. You cannot expect meaning to descend like a gift. You have to create it. You have to stand as if no one is coming to save you. Because strength is not in waiting for orders from above. Strength is in acting as if the weight of existence is already in your hands. You build sense. You shape your values. You forge your laws. Not because there is no God, but because you refuse to live as if your soul were on autopilot. Most people can't do this. They collapse. They beg for illusions. But the few who can face it, they become unbreakable. This is Nietzsche's gift and his curse. The recognition that nothing outside you can save you. The truth doesn't liberate. The truth hardens. It cuts. It leaves you alone. But if you can carry it, if you can stand in that void without flinching, then you are stronger than anyone still clinging to lies. That's why Nietzsche's words are the darkest of all. Because they don't just challenge the world, they challenge you. We began with comfort stripped away, and we end with clarity. You've heard the darkest words ever written. None of them were trying to inspire you. They were trying to strip away the illusions that make people weak. You don't have to agree with every quote. You don't have to tattoo them on your walls. You only have to see this. The truths we avoid are often the ones we need most, because they don't soothe you, they sharpen you. Life will test you. It will put you in places where comfort fails. That's when these words will return. That's when they'll turn from ideas into weapons. Save this video, because one day, when the world stops pretending, you'll need to remember what was said here, and share it with someone who's still living by the easy rules, because they'll need it even more than you. The brightest minds learned in darkness. Now it's your turn.